What's up, everybody? It's your boy Ryan, and this is the Thunder Channel on nootropics, on testosterone, on energy, and a lot of other stuff. Thanks so much for watching. Going to talk about 5 things that high testosterone does to your body, and we're going to go through studies on these 5 things, and then also back it up with anecdotal to give you the kind of full picture. In the meantime, product stuff. Look, if you're a man and you want to perform better mentally, you just want to have the cognitive edge, motivation, mental energy, the drive to work by Cortex. That is what we built it for. It is a powerful nootropic stack that will turn the lights on pretty instantly for most folk. Get Cortex live, cortex.com. Buy a bottle, buy 2. The stuff is honestly incredible. If you use the coupon code 15 now, you'll save 15% off your first bottle or your next bottle if you already buy Cortex. Courses, Nootropics Ground Zero if you're new. Look, stop wasting time. Stop rummaging around the web for information. You have to get Nootropics Ground Zero. Like, folks think they understand how to use nootropics and then they come to me with problems. It's because you haven't started from the root. Get Ground Zero if you're new, please. Masterclass if you're a couple years in and want to ascend to the 6-year mark. You're basically upping your game in results with Nootropics Masterclass. Lastly, the highest level of Nootropics courses is the Nootropics God course. These are all video courses. The God course is 10 to 15 years of usage into that course. Last couple things, if you have to raise your test, we've got either the Testosterone Superclass, which is a video course of yours truly showing you natural and non-natural, highly effective protocols to raise test, or you could work with us and I will consult you on raising your testosterone. And that's called Testosterone Plus, and you can get that at livecortex.com. All right, my friends, let's talk about this. Let me just preface it first by saying my testosterone raising journey started in my early 30s when a lot of guys have a drop in test. My numbers were abysmal and embarrassing, and I didn't know why. I mean, now I understand that there were some dietary things and overtraining and a bunch of other stuff that I was doing wrong. And then I hired people to figure out why. I literally hired a fertility doctor. I hired consultants from the PED community, for the record. I don't know if I've ever talked about this, the performance enhancing drug community, because they are geniuses when it comes to upregulating hormonal function. I mean, those are the guys that really, popularized PCT, post-cycle therapy, jump-starting the HPTA, getting your gonadotropins to fire correctly and all this sort of stuff. And that took me down a path of raising tests. Got it up to 500, got it up to 700, then eventually to 900. And it honestly changed my life as a guy. And I'm milking my own endogenous T. Not gone on tier T. I'm gonna milk it as long as possible, and then, I don't know, I'm pushing 40 somewhat soon, and then after that, we'll see. But I want to discuss 5 things that high testosterone does to your body as a guy. So let's just start. Number 1, reduces the inflammatory response. And I'm going to read directly from a paper that explains this just to sort of synthesize it quickly for you. Human and animal studies have linked testosterone deficiency with increased levels of inflammation in the body. Men with low testosterone have higher levels of circulating pro-inflammatory cytokines. These are small proteins released by cells during injury, infection, or in response to inflammatory factors in the environment. Now, that last part is really important because, I mean, if you're eating well and you're working out, consistently, but not overtraining, and you're doing all the other things to mitigate inflammation, like consuming phytochemicals and vegetables, etc., then there's still stuff in the environment that's going to trigger inflammation in your body. It's a fight for all of us, not just guys, but everybody. Inflammation is a fight that we've constantly got to be looking out for. A lot of people's brain fog can be attributed to high levels of inflammation. Having higher testosterone levels reduces circulating pro-inflammatory cytokines. So guys with higher levels of testosterone have lower levels of circulating pro-inflammatory cytokines. So this is really important for mental clarity, general functionality, energy, and strength. Number 2, thing that happens when you raise your testosterone and you keep it at a good set point, and it's pretty much always high for you, right? In a good place and balanced for your body, is recomp. And I'll illustrate this through, again, another study that demonstrates that basically they put people on a hypocaloric diet, men, a restrictive diet in terms of calories, and they had the placebo group, the group that was just on the hypocaloric diet that got placebo, and then they had the guys on testosterone. And this was actual TRT, I believe. But again, raising your testosterone to certain levels past 500 into the 700 to 900 nanograms per deciliter range should provide the same benefit. And this is what the study basically concluded. While dieting men receiving placebo lost both fat right? Because you're in a hypocaloric diet and lean mass. So they lost lean mass as well. The weight loss with testosterone treatment was almost exclusively due to loss of body fat and not lean mass. So the testosterone helped in the weight loss capacity for body fat to be lost, but not mass, not muscle mass, right? The guys kept their mass and just lost body fat. That's Recomp. Like guys that go on TRT or guys that go on highly effective test protocols, endogenous test protocols, always say that like, wow, I'm not even working out and suddenly I look more muscular, I'm more vascular, I'm leaner, it's easier to stay lean. Like my food doesn't go right to my belly fat, right? That's Recomp. Your body composition actually changes when you raise your testosterone. The third thing that happens when your testosterone is high and what high testosterone does to a guy is spontaneous erections. Spontaneous erection. Look, everybody loves those, right? But when you lose them, it's a sign that something is not functioning correctly in the hormonal department. A lot of what drives confidence in guys, look, it's your junk and it's your junk functioning. It's a weird subject and people don't like to talk about it or whatever, but it's like a thing. Well, back when I was 33 and my test was low, it was certainly happening to me. And it totally changed my confidence. I was like dating at the time. It wasn't good. No guy should have to suffer through that. But when you start raising your test, like, remember when you were a younger dude, you got spontaneous erections out of absolutely nowhere. And not necessarily because you were aroused from some person, but because your testosterone was high. And that's what having high levels of test does. You just get spontaneous erections. And that is a good thing for your sexual health. And it tells you that things are functioning well in the hormone department, which is really important. Number 4 thing that happens when you raise your testosterone, and this is a really important thing as it relates to what we like to talk about on this channel, which is nootropics and male performance and productivity ultimately. That's the end point, is having high test adds time to your day in terms of productivity. So I'm just gonna give you anecdotals on this, but like for me personally, when I started raising tests back when I was younger, changed my life. It changed the latter 4 or 5 hours of my day. I would rely on nootropic stacks to get energy during that time, but having high testosterone completely changed it. Like didn't need nootropics some of the days, and generally instead of like wanting to crap out after a day's work, 6, 7 p.m. call it, like I wanted to work for the rest of the night, or I want to work for like 4 hours. I'm gonna bring you to some anecdotals on Reddit just to kind of solidify this. So let's take this Redditor. A few weeks into TRT, so this is TRT, I noticed one thing has changed. Pre-TRT, I used to have short periods of time where I was sitting dumb, and then the guy says he has an office job doing completely nothing, just staring at the monitor. These frozen states would last 10 to 15 minutes. Once TRT started, nothing like this happened. I'm willing to believe it was more mental rather than physically related issue, but the change is in fact. He's probably misconstruing that a little bit because it actually is the testosterone. What I hear from on the anecdotal side of guys that we work with Testosterone Plus or some of the other consulting programs we've had on testosterone is in the latter part of the day, it's always that same explanation. Like when you start to raise test, when it comes to that latter part of the day, and historically you've like crapped out or wanted to watch TV or like start drinking beers, God forbid, and not be productive, you get a whole half a day's work done instead, and you actually start being productive in that latter part of the day. Now granted, this guy was on TRT, but still getting the most out of your endogenous test will provide the same benefit. This example, this guy, this is another Redditor, goes, so it helped me because I had zero energy before and I'm no longer tired and falling asleep all day long. That's pretty huge when you go from being tired and feeling crappy and not having energy to not, to being functional and having energy. It also helped me due to the fact that I am awake and able to keep up and not drop the ball on dozens of projects thrown at me. I'm able to speak with confidence to executives and directors and not get caught off guard. That is huge. The guy goes on to say, I don't get home and crash every day, right? Case in point, I'm energized at work and ready to fucking go. How awesome is that? That is a testimonial for having a high test. It totally does, man. It changes your productivity. Even in the daytime, in the early part of the day, it changes. Like if you're historically a dude that like wakes up and when you're going to work or when you're going to do your work for the day, you struggle with gaining the energy to do so, Having high testosterone will absolutely change that. And again, later on in the evening, instead of crapping out at 6 p.m., it puts you in a place where you've got the energy to continue working. Number 5 thing that happens when you raise your test, or that high test does to your body, is it upgrades your confidence. It upgrades your confidence levels. I mean, there's a certain level of feeling good and strong about yourself because you're hormonally sated. Think about that phrase for a second, hormonally sated. This is a term that I've been using to describe this peculiar thing that happens in men when they raise testosterone. There's this satiation point of hormones that puts you in a place where you're just less, I guess you're less anxious, you're less concerned about how you look to other people. You're just a guy that's doing his thing. You know you have that high hormonal set point, and so as a result, that translates into confidence with other people. It's this weird thing that happens. It's like your own understanding of your own sexual health and your own hormonal health, your testosterone health, just extrapolates and translates into your confidence as a man everywhere else in your life. It's a life-changing endeavor for some guys, especially people that's levels are below 400, call it 500. I mean, plenty of guys go to the doc and doc has them at 550 on total tests, and their free test is within range and won't give him TRT. The guy doesn't know a strategy or strategies, protocols to raise their endogenous test, so folks are sitting there having to deal with low energy, brain fog, low libido, bad erections, generally not feeling like a cool, confident, masculine dude. And that's a terrible place to be, man. That's why raising tests is honestly so important for guys. I mean, it will literally change your life. So we just launched the Testosterone Superclass. Okay, go get that thing, dude, because if you're, listen, this is what it's for. It's for guys that are trying to milk and optimize their endogenous testosterone production as much as possible. So there's protocols for that. So if you don't want to go on hormone replacement therapy and you just want to optimize to the best of your physiological capacity, your own test, get the Testosterone Superclass. What also makes the Superclass really complete is that there are also strategies for guys that do not necessarily want to just be taking the natural supplements, and doing the diet side to raise test. We have some essentially non-natty, but not hormonal therapy necessarily, but gonadotropin priming, gonadotropin optimization protocols in there that you won't see me talking about on this channel because I don't think I'm allowed to. And then you certainly won't see me talking about, elsewhere on the web. Very powerful strategies to raise your test. And then there's some very hardcore, non-natural strategies to raise testosterone, giving you the complete picture. Because with test, I mean, look, depending on your age, there are situations in which you've got to go pretty extreme, and you've got to go out of the supplement regimen, out of the supplement kind of world and into the more advanced, highly targeted, hormonally affecting strategies to raise test. All of that encompassed in the Testosterone Superclass. Get it at livecortex.com, because once you start executing the protocols and your test raises, it'll change your life as a guy. And all of these things will start happening. And it really is a revolutionary feeling to go from being weak and inadequate and not functioning correctly cognitively and sexually to being the opposite on all of those things. A Viking in your own right, feeling amazing and having great energy. Testosterone Superclass, livecortex.com. Go get the course, start executing the protocols, and thank me later, I hope. Thank you so much for being with me, everybody. Talk to you soon.